Hi everyone, welcome back to the next class in our CBT training program series. Now today we are looking at how our actions and behaviors can keep our problems and our rigid beliefs stuck. So today we're going to look at how your actions shape your beliefs and shape your problem, and I'm going to give you a few tips and tools in terms of shifting your behavior as we go on. So hold on tight, let's get going. As you guys know, when we have a particular situation, we have a particular response. We feel a particular way. Now what we've looked at is how the beliefs that we have, the rigid beliefs that we have, shape our experience. And if we have a rigid belief about our circumstances, then we're going to have a negative emotion, a difficult negative emotion. And as we go on, we're going to see that as we start to have more flexible beliefs that are more consistent with reality, then we start to feel better and our emotions aren't so difficult. They allow us to move forward. Now, when we have difficult emotions, a lot of the time we can behave in a particular way. And a lot of those actions, a lot of those behaviors can keep us stuck. They keep the problem stuck. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk to you about today is avoidance. So what's avoidance all about? Well, when we are afraid of something, when there is a threat or a danger, maybe when we feel anxious, avoidance is one of the things that most human beings do. And we avoid in many different interesting ways. We might avoid talking about something. We might avoid facing something. We might avoid thinking about something. And human beings, we do it all the time. We kick the can down the road. Now, what are the benefits of avoidance? The benefits of avoidance are, well, I don't have to do it today. Short-term benefit, but long-term cost. What you put off today, you have to do tomorrow or the next day. Now, human beings have a habit of avoiding things for the whole of their life. It's possible. But what's it like avoiding something for the whole of your life? What's it like avoiding something for a few days or weeks or months or years? It's tiring, and it affects your ability to be fully satisfied, to fully enjoy life. No doubt about it. So avoidance has its benefits, but also there is a big cost. Now, why do we avoid? We avoid because we're afraid, but also we avoid things because we underestimate our ability to cope. We think if something were to happen, I wouldn't be able to cope. I wouldn't be able to bear it. And that's probably one of our thoughts. Sometimes we avoid something because we think if we face it, something even worse is going to happen. Sometimes we create an even more negative threat in our mind. So there's many reasons why we avoid it, but the interesting thing is when we do avoid, a lot of the time things get worse. Just notice what happens. If you're avoiding something, it stagnates, it festers, it gets smelly, and it's going to get worse. So again, at the beginning, for now, it's good just to start bringing your awareness to what are you avoiding if you are avoiding anything, and notice the impact that avoiding has. It's all about awareness. It's all about starting to realize and notice what that feels like. Just begin noticing it. When we avoid something, a lot of the time it's to do with our rigid beliefs. So if you are in a state of avoidance, or if that's how you're acting or behaving, I guarantee you will have a rigid belief somewhere. Maybe you're telling yourself, this must not happen. I must avoid this at all costs. Maybe you have a rule and an assumption. Remember we covered that a few videos ago, when you're saying, if this happens, that will mean this. I must avoid this happening because if it does happen, it means this is going to happen. So a lot of the time we're avoiding something where we have a rigid belief, and it's good just to tap into that. What is it you're avoiding, and what are you going to think is going to happen? What are you afraid is going to happen if it happens? We're always avoiding something. So, as I said, just notice, bring your awareness to this, notice what you're avoiding, and then tune into your rigid belief. What are you afraid is going to happen? And if it did happen, what would be the worst possible thing, right? If it happened, are you telling yourself it would be the end of the world? It would be the worst possible thing? Are you telling yourself I wouldn't be able to handle it? I wouldn't be able to cope with it? Are you saying if it did happen, it would mean something bad about me, or it would mean something bad about somebody else? Who knows? But find out what that thought is. Another type of avoidance, I guess, is isolation. When we feel depressed, for example, it's normal for us to isolate ourselves. Maybe we want to hang out at home. Maybe we want to stay indoors. Maybe we don't want to speak to other people. Sometimes we don't want to speak to our friends or loved ones. We might hide ourselves, hide from the world. We might want to isolate ourselves. Again, when we move into this space of isolation, can you see how we're keeping the problem in place? Our behavior, isolating ourselves, hiding from other people, moving into that space, how that only keeps the problem in place. And a lot of the time when we're working with people who feel depressed or feel sad, a lot of the assignments are to do with getting in action, keeping busy, doing things, being in touch with friends, looking at your diary and noticing what sort of activities you're doing. Because definitely when we're working with that emotion, it's important to look at our activities and to stay active. A lot of scientific research tells us that active behavior can really help when we're feeling depressed. So again, notice how your behavior is affecting your condition, your emotion. Notice how you're acting and ask yourself, is this helping me move towards my goal? Maybe you feel like you've been hurt and maybe you're expecting the other person to apologize. So you're holding out. Maybe that includes not talking to them or hiding or not being in communication. Is that behavior helping the situation? Or is it working against the situation? Always look at your actions, look at your behavior and see whether that's having an effect on your circumstances. And this is all about awareness, right? So we're just bringing awareness to these issues, and as you bring awareness to them, you can begin to do something about it. Now you'll find when you start to question your negative beliefs and when you start to break through those difficult ways of seeing things, your behavior, your actions will change. You'll want to be more in action. You'll want to be more facing your challenges moving forward, and that's something that will become apparent the more CBT work that you do. Okay guys, that's all for today. As I said, just keep noticing, keep bringing awareness to your behavior. Notice if you're avoiding, notice if you're isolating yourself. Just look at what you're up to and see how it impacts your emotions and moving towards a solution in the problems you're dealing with. Okay, that's all for now. I'll see you around. Have a good one.